Illidan picked up by Penguins in response here. Definitely a strong pickup as a good diver against Li Ming. Gives their team a good opportunity to set up that dive to get to the back line and interrupt Li Ming as she's just recklessly throwing out all her spells. And
You're right, but I'm an avid believer, though. If you're going to pick an Illidan first time, your first pick, the other team has got multiple picks to counter that pick. Since Illidan is probably going to be the focal point of the team, right? Now they have 4 more picks to pick something that will counter his ability. So I don't know if picking up an Illidan first was probably a smart idea or not, but we'll see.
yeah, it's a delicate balance between wanting to make sure you get him if you're trying to build the team comp around him, and picking it early enough that your opponent has a chance to counter it. I suppose they probably figured that since they don't get any more picks until the 2 more picks for Team AFK and then the double ban, they probably wanted to pick it up now rather than later. But definitely a good point there that now they get the 4 picks to counter. They also pick up Raynor. They're good. Another good sustained damage. I think Illidan and Raynor are probably the 2 of the strongest sustained damage in the game. And the response then from Team AFK to make sure to get a good sustained damage in Thrall before the ban phase comes out, and Penguins has an opportunity to really chokehold those picks. And then Johanna to round it out. A good solid round team so far with 1 ranged, 1 tank, and 1 frontliner. Again, not revealing a whole lot of what they really want to employ other than the fact that they want a good, well-rounded team.
Right, and that Thrall pickup is an outstanding pick at this early stage of the draft. Great poke. Has a nice stun that you can throw on Illidan, and then of course his melee is really good, along with his sundering. You need even Earthquake as a great way to disrupt the opposing team. So solid pickup right there. And of course, one of my favorite tanks, Joanna Joe, there with a nice blind to really honestly counter Illidan and Raynor, both of them with one pickup in Joe. So the Team AFK has done a nice job to really start countering that Illidan pick.
Yeah, two counters with 1 stone there. I do like it. Lili, the ban out for Penguins. They're looking at trying to reduce the amount of counters that Team AFK has, and Lili with those blinds and constant easy healing is a really good counter to Illidan, so they'll ban that out. And then Morales ban over for Team AFK, which of course Morales a really good combo between Raynor and Stim Drone from Morales, so they deny that. However, that does give them Rhaegar. Rhaegar Illidan, a very, very tough combo to go against because of the way their abilities synergize. Rhaegar with Ancestral Healing, able to bring Illidan up after he dives in and takes a bunch of damage, able to bring him back to life and let him continue to be a terror on the enemy's backline. And then, of course, Falstad. And it's actually my mistake, guys. I have put up the wrong battleground up here. This match is not being played on Towers of Doom. It's being played on Cursed Hollow, which, now that we get to that Falstad pick, makes a lot of sense because Falstad has that global presence, makes it very easy for him to get some extra soak, be really far away from the tributes being spawned, and then he can get down to that team fight in a hurry and get a little extra XP for his team.
Right. Really good pickup there for this particular map. And I was wondering if before they picked that Uther pick, there was just still a great pick to have. If we would have seen the Brightwing lock in for a response to that global presence that Falstad is going to have. But as we see, they take an Uther, which, like I said, is a very solid pick going for Thrall and for Joanna going in with Divine Shield, putting them on them and just be able to go to town on them. So really solid pickup there. And Cleanse as well.
It's also a pretty good counter to Illidan in the fact that he's able to throw that stun down on Illidan when he starts to jump onto the back line and gives them a few extra seconds to blow him up. Same kind of thing that Brightwing could have done with Polymorph, but to be fair, even though Brightwing does give that global presence, he also doesn't actually deal a whole lot of damage. And the Lost Vikings!
Interesting.
A huge pickup. The Lost Vikings, a very, very good hero for this map. Kind of like Abathur, gives that odd global presence that allows you to soak 1 or 2 of the lanes with Abathur. The Lost Vikings can do exactly the same thing, except better because they get to do all three. Plus, you can always send one of those Vikings to a vacant tribute to pick it up, and just an excellent hero on this match if one of your team members has that in their bag of tricks.
Right, right. I mean, that is probably arguably one of the most complicated hero or heroes to play in the game, and we need to see what they're going to do with the Vikings. Is he going to leave him in the bush, and just soak it that way, or is he going to play an active role in laning and possibly curse pickups and trying to deter the other team or distract the other team? We'll be interested to see how that works out with them.
And then, of course, Muradin, the last pickup for Penguins, just kind of we knew they were going to need a tank. They were going to have to get one of them, and with Johanna off the table, the next best pure tank does seem to be Muradin. Also gives somebody good for Illidan to jump in with there. And just a well-rounded team, but if I had to look at this draft and pick an early winner here, I feel like with the Lost Vikings, with all the counters to Illidan, I really like Team AFK's draft here.
I like it too, but it's all going to bake on that Vikings pickup. Is the Vikings going to play an active role in this match? And if so, yes, absolutely, I agree with you 100%. AFK, I believe, has a better draft. However, if Vikings falls off or it just isn't going well for them and not getting the soak and the XP value that you think you would get with the Vikings, I really think then Penguins has got it, even though they picked up AFK picked up Joe and Thrall. They're basically saying, "Come at us 4v5," and are they going to be able to sustain that? We'll see.
Well, Plague, I thank you very much for joining me for the draft phase. Apparently,
sure.
That's my mistake. I guess we can't both spectate the match, so it's going to make it kind of impossible to call with the delay. But I appreciate your expert analysis on the draft, and I'll see you a little bit later.
Sounds good.
Meanwhile, we're going to get the match started up here, guys. On the left, we have Team AFK with Boglin playing Li Ming, T-Suits playing Johanna, Crowthorn playing Thrall, Ash playing Uther, and Lie to Me playing the Lost Vikings. Meanwhile, in the red trunks, we have Machine This playing Muradin, Arson playing Falstad, R and Motogamma playing Illidan. That's a good one. Ravenous playing Rhaegar, and Scapegoat playing Raynor. Right off the bat, we're going to see the Vikings start to spread up in the top and bottom lanes to prepare their soak. One of the Vikings will stay mid with the 4-man, and we'll see initially just a little bit of poke back and forth. Not a whole lot going on. These two teams seem to be just trying to feel each other out in the start here, and not trying to take too much poke damage, but maybe trying to catch somebody out. As you can see, right off the bat, that Uther pick, just giving a little something to Illidan there. But now we see a 4-man rotation up to the top lane, seeing if they can maybe catch Falstad out a little bit here, but they'll just clear the lane real quickly, and on they go. This Team AFK seems to be going after a big rotation. Kind of an interesting pick on this map because Cursed Hollow is so big. They're going to rotate pretty aggressively. They feel like they can do that with the Lost Vikings. But Balog will go down in the top lane to Falstad, and that is going to be first blood. Meanwhile, they continue that rotation, and in the bottom, Scapegoat is just going to be pushing Lie to Me around a little bit on one of these 3 Vikings. And so now we're seeing them start to even out a little bit instead of doing the aggressive 4-man rotation. Or trying to respond to the rotation. They're going to leave 3 in the mid and rotate a little bit less aggressively. But now Muradin getting caught out by this 4-man rotation. He's going to take a whole bunch of poke damage before he dwarf tosses away. And right now, just a pretty even exchange. It actually, of course, it seems like right now that Penguins is getting a little bit of this XP lead. That could have a little bit of something to do with the 2 Vikings going down. But of course, when those Vikings end up dying, they don't give as much XP as a normal hero would, but it's still going to make a little bit of a difference. And interesting that the Vikings, they're playing pretty far back. As as far as trying to get XP. Oh, and Raynor gets deleted down in the bottom lane. Again, this 4-man rotation enabled by the fact that they're soaking with the 3 Vikings is paying dividends. Here as we see Raynor taken down, and that's going to be the first death of a non-Viking of the game. As the first tribute spawns in the top half of the map, teams rotating to it. Looks like the blue team is going to have more people there, despite the fact that Penguins here have a couple people that were in a little bit better position. But now, again, this kind of starts to happen as the teams posture and start to get ready to try and capture this. But most teams will tend to be patient as they try and feel each other out, see what they've got as far as poke potential. And, of course, the longer this goes on, the more it's going to benefit for Team AFK because they've still got a Viking soaking in every lane. Illidan actually goes down to mid to try and take care of one of those Vikings and negate the effect of that a little bit. But now it looks like Team AFK is getting a little bit of an advantage, and they will capture the first tribute. So despite the fact that it technically you would see a 4v5 since the 3 Vikings are soaking, they are able to push Penguins out of there and capture that first tribute. Meanwhile, Penguins had managed to grab their siege camp in the bottom, so that got a pretty decent push in the bottom lane while all that was going on. So you could make the argument that negated some of the benefit that you would normally get from, as we see a couple of the Vikings go down there in the top and middle lane. You could say that negated some of the soak, or maybe even all of the soak, since the XP is pretty close here, that AFK actually got off of the Vikings. But a lot of the XP, I think, differential here is from the fact that Penguins has been doing a really good job of actually getting to these Vikings and taking them out, which negates their ability to soak for a little while. If they continue to do that, they're going to end up getting dividends here. And it looks like as far as talents go, the Lost Vikings ended up getting bribed, so we see the Merc bribe to get the siege camp there. Pretty good timing since that's going to be pushing while this tribute is going on, but we see kind of slow rotations to the tribute. Penguins looking to catch somebody out there, but smart rotations to not get caught out by Team AFK, but now they are being pushed off of this point pretty heavily. And Li Ming goes down. And looks like Uther might be next as the chase potential for Illidan starting to pay dividends, and we're starting to see the aggression that this dive comp has start to really pay off. You got, of course, you got Illidan along with Uther and Rhaegar, who are all good, strong frontliners, and that can really jump in and get some damage done. Though Illidan and Rhaegar are a little bit squishy, they can still get work done. Falstad taking out yet another of the Vikings down here. And again, negates that soak. They're gonna lose a bit of this wave to the front line and get more damage on that front wall on bottom because there's no Viking, there's no player there to defend it because these guys are rotating as 4. They will rotate down to it though, and it looks like they might get there in time to get this wave at the very least. And Falstad is going to duck out just in time. It looks like his team probably communicated to him pretty well that was coming, and he just ducked right out of there just in time. In the top lane, Raynor putting a lot of pressure on this front wall, and I think they've definitely been seeing a little bit more siege damage so far as we have our 3rd tribute spawning. Each team has 1, so this is not going to be a curse. However, Penguins does have their ultimates up here. And we'll take a look at those real quick. And they are going to easily capture this one. It looks like with Team AFK knowing that they were level 10, or knowing that Penguins was level 10, they decided not to contest that. But as far as the ultimates, we see Avatar coming out from Muradin, Mighty Gust for Falstad. Illidan's still waiting on that one, deciding whether or not he wants to go hunt, maybe go after these Vikings, or Metamorphosis to get more sustain in the team fights. Rhaegar going Ancestral Healing, and Hyperion coming out for Raynor, which is a great zoning tool. for those tributes. Falstad flying up top, looks like. Or no, flying up to rotate with his team. We'll see if they can get this Viking as they come out. Meanwhile, for Team AFK, we have Disintegrate for Li Ming, a standard pick for most Li Ming players. Blessed Shield for Johanna. Sundering for Thrall. Divine Shield for Uther. And Play Again for the Vikings. Meanwhile, we got a fight going on down in the bottom. I apologize for that. Still trying to get used to these UI changes. Fight over this boss, and it has been killed. So they're fighting over the capture point. And it looks like Team AFK is going to cap that, but they might pay for it with their lives, as Penguins are going to get in here and are going to take out their entire team, outside, of course, of the Lost Vikings that are soaking in lane. But that 5v4 went horribly awry for Team AFK. They did get the boss, but they're not going to get a whole lot off of it due to the fact that they got wiped after that. Meanwhile, Falstad is going to capture the curse and is going to get the first curse, which is going to go over to Penguins. So now the question is, how much can they capitalize off of this? They clean up the boss. They got about 50 seconds left. Do they go for siege damage? Do they go for camps? Most people, in general agreement that you want to try and get siege damage done here. But the short death timers, this amount in this time of the game, all of Team AFK is back. They're ready to try and defend. The question is, how effective are they going to be able to do that? Now with Penguins sitting at level 13, that's going to negate their ability to do a whole lot against them being a talent tier down. Though it is only one level, that 13 talent tier, not the biggest of talent tiers, but big enough as Thrall gets caught out a little bit there and just exploded. Meanwhile, we see the rotation up. It looks like after capturing the two different, the bottom and the mid fort, they are going to go up and get boss with only a few seconds left on this curse. Not enough time to go get this top fort. So now they can go get this boss, and then they have the option to either push with it or go get other camps as they force the enemy team to have to go deal with this boss. Very, very good shot calling coming out of Penguins thus far. They're handling the Vikings pretty well, keeping them where they got to stay back, otherwise they just get exploded. They've got a good XP lead here. They managed to get the first curse with only giving one tribute up to Team AFK, and they are looking pretty solid right now. We'll have to see if Team AFK can do something to turn it around as a big team fight comes out. Hyperion laying down, just putting damage on this tower and zoning Team AFK back. Falstad with the aggressive fly-in. The Gust is only going to hit one of the Vikings. However, they are still going to chase in here, and they are given a lot of trouble as Balog goes down, but they got some serious poke out on Johanna as well. But Falstad, Raynor, and Rhaegar are all about half mana. They can still do a little bit of pushing here, while Thrall is getting their bruiser camp, and now is coming up to defend. We'll have to see where this goes. And it looks like they're going to get this keep. They continue to push, and again, down 3 levels, it makes it kind of. But there's the Sundering. They're gonna get Muradin out a little bit, but he'll dwarf toss away, and now they are on the chase. They do get Muradin, and that's gonna get these resets started. However, Li Ming doesn't have a whole lot of mana. We'll have to see how much she can really capitalize off this. The Wolf hits Illidan, but he will continue to back away, and a defensive gust there used by Falstad is going to get the rest of Penguins out of there, and they're going to start trying to defend some of these other things. As we see Lie to Me with that classic technique, the extra merc pressure there, but Illidan is going to come right in here and try to interrupt this process. But with Mercenary Lord, what am I thinking? The Mercenary Lord plus the Bribe, he's able to capture that real quick, and then use the Mercenary Lord to get a lot of extra damage out of this. They take out the half of the front wall on this keep. However, the tribute's spawning, and again, a good, solid rotation from Penguins. They are ready to capture this one and push the rest of the team off. Raynor's going to channel, and everybody else is just going to zone. Very solid positioning from Penguins, and they're going to get that tribute. Meanwhile, Thrall will go down as he got separated from the rest of his team there. And got chased down by Illidan, Muradin, and Rhaegar. Again, that trifecta melee group there that can just chase with wolf form. Gives him a little extra speed. Of course, Illidan, one of the well-pronounced best chasers in the game, and Muradin with that dwarf tossing can always be pretty aggressive at going after people. They're going to rotate up and deal with this, again, this Bribe and Merklord getting a little bit of work done, but it looks like Balog is going to end up paying for it with his life again, but a decent amount of work done getting that front wall down, but with catapults pushing in that top lane, it's going to be kind of rough for them to get a whole lot of work done on that lane as the game progresses. And another one of the Vikings being caught out, and Olaf goes down. Meanwhile, this team is rotating, again, very, very solidly as a 4-man, where Raynor is just dealing with the bottom. And another tribute up, but there's going to be a battle in the mid here. This time they catch Rhaegar out, and they are going to get Rhaegar before that gust comes in. And now Illidan and Falstad are still very low. They got caught out there without Raynor and without Muradin there to help. And Li Ming was able to blow them up pretty quickly. As we see these rotations, but I think the rotation might be a little bit too slow from AFK. Penguins is going to walk away with that, with Illidan just jumping up there and getting that really quickly. And they get yet another tribute, despite the fact that they were down a man there. Pretty heads-up play by Illidan. I would go for trying to pronounce that name, but I hate to make the pun on Illidan, but I was not prepared for that name. Not going to lie. As they put pressure on this top fort, it looks like they are going to get it, but the zoning, the zoning is going to come out with that Hyperion, and they are going to get Johanna. A defensive Sunder comes out, but the Hunt will chase down Thrall, stall him for just long enough, and now the chase is on. Illidan is going hard after Uther there, but he got knocked down to very low HP. However, the rest of the team will finish off Uther. Well, again, Illidan a little bit low on HP. He'll get healed up probably by Ancestral there, by how much HP he gained, but they'll just go back and they'll look for a tribute. But it looks like they're going to make a brilliant move here, and instead of just going straight to collect the tribute, they're going to get this boss first. They see that Thrall, Johanna, and Uther are all down for the side of Team AFK, and they don't have to go directly after this curse. They can grab the boss, then they can grab the tribute, and they can have a boss pushing free in a top lane that has no keep, and they can have a curse pushing in every other lane simultaneously. They are playing this match and this map very, very well. So they are going to go ahead and Team AFK is going to capture that siege camp, but here we see pretty much everyone from Team Penguins, all 5, going hard on this. Oh, but the Sunder comes out and will split them up. And this is going to give Team AFK a fighting chance here before they hit 20. A defensive gust coming out to get them off of Penguins. But we'll have to see if the re-engage happens. And again, the boss is on core. They've got a nearly full health boss that is starting to take down the shields. And so Team AFK realizes that they're going to have to step back and take this boss down. And that is going to afford Penguins the opportunity to take down the keep, and it's going to give them 20 with those storm talents. Now it's going to make it very dangerous for AFK to re-engage this. It looks like they might go in and do it anyway here. And they are going to push them back, but the Hyperion is going to come out, and we're going to have to see who gives first. Something's got to give. The Ancestral comes out to get Illidan back to full health. The curse is over, so the keep is now activated, and they don't have anything to support them, so they are going to decide to go ahead and back up. And are they gonna take the boss? They're thinking about it. They're gonna bait it. A brilliant decision here. Johanna is gonna sniff out the fact that they're not here. The question is, how does Team AFK feel about this? And it looks like one of the Vikings is gonna get caught a little bit out by Illidan, but now they're just kind of posturing around this, kind of waiting for one of the teams to jump first. Illidan jumps out a little bit, but of course we'll get out of there. And there's the Sunder. Again, splitting them up. A brilliant Sunder hits a bunch of them, but they are down that 20 talent tier. But they are looking very healthy here as they put the chase on, and yet again, Gust able to just blow them away. and say, hey, we don't want to do this engagement right now. This isn't going well for us. We'll gust. We'll go and tap the well. We'll regroup and see what we want to do. Meanwhile, Team AFK, they may not have been able to get a big engagement there as it was going well, but they will turn around and try and get this boss. But here comes Penguins looking to maybe steal this thing. Johanna's going to sniff him out, and with the boss at about half health, there's going to be a re-engagement here. Illidan is going to hunt back to Li Ming, and Li Ming gets very low. Uther saving him with the heals, saving her with the Divine Shield, but that is going to be all she wrote for Li Ming. After those ran out, that was all she had. Uther's going to go down before he gets that 20 talent, so he is going to be dead for real. And it looks like that Penguins might be going for a core rush here to end the game. They are going to push in. Hyperion laying down on the core. The shields are gone. Play again comes out. They're going to try to defend this. Illidan just sitting back on the core, though. Illidan is enough to take it, and that is going to be game. GG for Penguins. Actually a pretty solid game. I thought that the Penguins really dominated a lot of that, but AFK did not give up. I really respect a lot of the fight and guts coming out. They were not afraid to go after fights that they knew were going to end up being lethal. And I apologize. I didn't go over a lot of the talent builds as we were going, but there was just a lot of action going on there. I felt like as soon as I stopped to go after one of these talent rushes here, even just to do the ults, suddenly there's a boss fight going on. Very, very active teams. Not too long a game, but I felt like it was pretty well handled by Penguins. I didn't give them enough credit in the drafting phase. I thought that Team AFK had done a pretty good job of picking heroes that were going to be pretty good counters to Raynor and Illidan. And I felt like a lot of those team fights actually did start to go their way. But the one thing that I didn't account for, I think was the big factor in this game, was Falstad. Falstad would just say, hey, I'm not really feeling this team fight right now. My team's getting kind of low. And he'd just gust, and they'd just blow them all away. And they'd retreat, lick their wounds, and re-engage when they felt like it. And then they controlled the engagements. They had greater chase potential, so it gave them a better opportunity to actually go in on those fights and win them when they decided they wanted to engage and to chase them down. So very, very solid match from Penguins. They are going to be your victor here. And, I still give a lot of credit to Team AFK. They came out, they played, and they were not afraid to go after these. So thanks for joining us, guys. We're going to have another match coming up pretty soon here in about 17 minutes. I'll be bringing the stream back up. But for now, I'm going to take a little water break and rest my throat because, man, that was quite a match. So thank you to the teams, and I'll see you guys soon.